Hi, it's Sharon Christie with Bold Women Lawyers. I'm so glad you've joined me. We are going to talk about ideal clients. Now, let me explain why I decided to do this LinkedIn Live. I've had conversations with a lot of women lawyers in solo and small firm practice, and many of them have issues and difficulties with this concept of ideal clients, but more importantly, how do you figure it out? So I wanted to talk about it today. I want to talk about who your ideal client is, where do you find an ideal client, and what is it that you want to say to them? So let's jump in. Now, the first question really, though, is why is this even important? Why do I need to know who my ideal client is? And that's a very fair question. When you're doing marketing, when you're trying to get clients, and we all need clients, it's the lifeblood of a law firm. When you're doing your marketing, whatever avenue of marketing you choose, you need to know who you're speaking to. And the problem for a lot of people is that they want to talk about what they do and what services they provide and how they can help people, but they do it in a very broad, general way. And when you are speaking to everybody, which is what that is, you're really speaking to nobody, because what you're saying is going to fall on deaf ears, not because what you're saying is unimportant, but the people hearing it don't feel like it applies directly to them. So that's where an ideal client comes in. So what does that mean, ideal client? Because this is the person that you want to be speaking to in your marketing. The ideal client is that the person that you work the best with in your law practice. That if you could create this, you would have a law firm full of this client. Everybody would be this client because he or she was so good to work with and you had a great relationship and you really enjoyed your interactions with this client. They listened to your advice, they followed your advice, and the work that they brought you to do or the case that they had that you handled was profitable for you. So that is what an ideal client means. But who is it? How do you figure it out? Well, there's a number of ways you can do this. It's not that hard. So what I recommend is that you take a look at your top 5 cases or your top 5 engagements from the last year and look really closely at those clients. You want to look very closely at the demographics and make a list for all of those clients, their age, their occupation, their income, their level of education, their marital status. Do they have children? If so, how many? What are the ages of the children? Do they have any hobbies? If so, what are they? What's their gender? Those are just a few of the demographics that you want to look at, but that gives you an idea of the kinds of things that you are going to pull out of those top 5 clients that you work with. Write it down. Write it down for every single one. And then take a look at the commonalities. And you may find that there's certain things that don't make much difference. Maybe it's gender, maybe it's marital status. On the other hand, depending on your area of practice, those may be characteristics that are the same across all of those clients. And that's what you want to look for. What are the similarities in these top clients? What are the similarities that you can draw out? What do they have in common? And then based on those similarities, you want to write out a profile. You'll hear it referred to as creating an avatar, but you actually want to write out your description in detail of this ideal client. And the reason you want to do that is that when we talk about your marketing message, this is the person that you are going to speak to. So your ideal client, perhaps if, say, you do family law, it could be a woman in her 40s in a profession who has children under the age of 10 and is seeking a divorce. Or maybe you're a trust and estates lawyer and your ideal client, you realize after you do this work, is a couple in their 50s who are looking to retire within the next 10 to 15 years, and they need to start getting everything in order. They may have a will, but it needs to be changed. They may want to set up trusts for their children or their grandchildren, etc. But you're going to know what are the basic demographics that identify the people that you really want to work with, and you're going to create marketing messages specifically to that person. Now, let me stop here and just address a question that I've heard a lot when I talk about this, which is, but wait a minute, does that mean I have to turn away everybody else? No, of course not. It doesn't. What it does mean is you want to stay focused on one certain group of people. And if your focus, say, is the couple in their 50s and you do trust and estate work with the other demographics that I talked about and the other characteristics, but you get a call from a 30-year-old single woman who needs help with some estate issues and she needs a will and needs some other trust and estate work done, does that mean you have to say no to her? No, of course not. You certainly can accept that and would accept it if it met your other parameters for, what business you take on. But what I'm talking about is how you want to hone and focus your marketing message. So you create this profile, you create the avatar. Well, what's the next step? Well, now you know who it is you want to talk to or engage with. But the question is, where do you find them? Okay? So there's a number of places you're going to look. First, nowadays, of course, you go to social media. Now, not all social media will be where your ideal client is. When I had my solo practice, it was a disability practice. And what I discovered was that many of my potential clients watched YouTube videos. And so I went big into YouTube, creating videos that would explain different parts of the disability process and how it all worked, really creating videos that answered the frequently asked questions, the things that I was trying to respond to day in and day out from clients, the questions that they had. I would create videos to address those general issues and general processes. And even though personally, I didn't really care for YouTube that much, I didn't use it, but what I realized was that my ideal clients, who it turns out were middle-aged women, at that time were really big into YouTube. And what I also realized when I looked at my cases and I looked at how they came to me and who made the initial contact was that even if the client was, say, a spouse, it was most frequently the wife that was generating the action. And she was the one that did the research. Or it could be an adult child, but frequently it was an adult daughter. And they would find my information on YouTube, and from YouTube they would go to my website and we would get the phone call. So you certainly need to look at social media. Where do your clients hang out? You'll hear that a lot. Where do they hang out on social media? What social media platforms do they use? But that's not the only place you're going to look. Depending on, say, what your ideal client's occupation is. Are there professional associations or trade associations that they are involved in? And are there ways that you can get your message out to those groups? What about interest groups? Now, as I said, I had a disability practice, and of course, disability is based frequently on different health conditions that people suffer from. So I made lots of contact with specialty health organizations, nonprofits like the Lupus Foundation or the MS Society, so that I could provide them with information about me, but more importantly, information about the disability process that they could pass on to their clients, or that I could be available as a speaker for them. So you want to look at interest groups that your ideal client would be involved with, or civic associations. The other place you want to look is other professionals who serve your ideal client. So perhaps your ideal client is, as I said before, a professional woman, doctor, lawyer, accountant, for example. So what are other professionals that may be serving that same audience that you could get to know? And there may be some collaboration that you could do in terms of marketing that would help both of you in attracting clients. In my disability practice, I love social workers. I made lots of contact with social workers because frequently they would be dealing with my potential clients. So I wanted them to know that I was out here and what information I could provide to them about the disability process that they could pass on to clients, and I would get referrals. So I think that's sometimes an area where lawyers, when they think of referrals, they think of referrals from other lawyers, but it's much broader than that. The other place you want to go is where your current clients tell you they hang out. Ask them directly, what social media do you use? Do you belong to any professional organizations? Do you belong to any interest group organizations? Just ask them a few questions. Clients are happy to talk to you about that. And you can, tell them, listen, you're a great client. I would love more clients like you. And so I'm trying to get more information about some of the things that you do, or places that you go, or organizations that you belong to, so that I can look for other clients just like you. Clients are very flattered when you tell them that, and they're more than happy to help. So go to your existing clients. They'll be more than happy to help you. Now, once you've done all that, what are you going to say? What do you say in your marketing? You have to remember that your marketing, you want it to address the problems that your potential clients are facing. What you need to know is, for potential clients, what is their biggest fear? What's their biggest concern about their legal issue? What is keeping them up at night? Okay. Say you do bankruptcy work. Certainly one thing that's keeping people up at night is, am I going to lose everything? How do I pay these bills? What's my next step? Okay. So you have to know what are their biggest fears. And again, ask your existing clients when they come to you, when they first come to you, just say to them, what are you most worried about? What are the top 2 or 3 things that most worry you, that brought you to see me? So you ask them, you want to know what their biggest fear is and how they describe it, and use those exact words, how they describe it. So you want to use their words in marketing, how they describe their problems, and then you need to let them know what working with you is going to do to help solve that problem. So, I'll go back to my example. I was a disability lawyer, and people come to me because they can't work and they're not working and they need disability benefits, and it's a long process. And they're worried about, how do I pay the bills? And how long will this take? And what am I going to do in the meantime? Now, I couldn't always answer all of those questions. I could give them resources, I could give them referrals, but what I could also give them was an explanation of how the process worked. And at the end, if we're successful, you're going to get monthly benefits, you're going to qualify for health insurance, Medicare through Social Security, or Medicaid through SSI. And I could explain to them what is going to be different at the end of the day that is different from their current situation. So they know what to expect and what's coming and how their life is going to be better once we get through this process. So those are the types of things that you want to talk about in your marketing, but you want to have it focused right on that ideal client. Now, why do I say that again? It's because here's who you want to be. You want to be the lawyer that is speaking to someone through what you've written, through your website, through how you're doing your marketing, where your ideal client hears it and says, wow, she's talking to me. It's like she knows my life. It's like she knows exactly what's going on with me, what I'm worried about. She's speaking directly to me. I need to call her. I need to talk to her because I need her help. So right there, you've made a connection because you know what your potential clients are going through and you've addressed it. You're not talking all about how great you are and where you went to law school and how many years experience you have. That's all. I'm not saying that's not important. It's great. It's nice. But honestly, when you have clients that are in the middle of a big problem, they're not so much interested in that. What they want to know is, do you understand me? Do you get me? And can you help me? So if you know your ideal client, if you address what's keeping them up at night, if you use the words that they use to describe their problem, and if you can help them, if you can explain to them how working with you is going to help them with this problem, then they'll make an informed decision, and certainly it's going to be an informed decision to hire you because, as I said, you get them, you understand them, and they will feel that when they hear you talking or they read what you've written, they see your marketing materials. They will know that you're the person for them. So that's a description of your ideal client, who it is, how you find them, how you talk to them. I hope you found this helpful. If you want some other tips on running your business, go to my website at boldwomenlawyers.com. You can download my solo success guide there, and there's more tips in there about running your law practice. And if you have an issue that you want to really dive deeper into, you can certainly schedule a call with me right on the website at boldwomenlawyers.com. So, as I said, I hope you found this helpful, and come back next week. We'll be talking about another issue in running a successful solo and small law firm.